Welcome everyone. My name is Eleni Sommerschield. I think we are live here. Yep, everyone's joining in. Welcome to Becoming a Wise Agent. Today we are talking about building and selling a profitable real estate business. So I have Nick Krautter with us today. Nick, welcome.
Great to be here.
Thank you. And so you are the author of a fantastic book. You're coming out with your second edition to it. So after, what do we say, 10 years?
Almost 10 years, 9 years ago. So
Yeah.
October 2015, the first edition of the Golden Handoff was released, and it's been in the top 10 or 20 on real estate books since then, which is wild. I appreciate that. I'm sure a lot of folks on this call have read it. And Eleni, you mentioned you got it early on,
I've
and
read it. Yeah.
yeah, it's super rewarding to hear back from people that are implementing it, that it's helping them in their business, and it helped me in an incredibly dramatic way, which I'm excited to share today, so
Yeah.
other people can implement it.
Yeah, I know. I've been recommending it to people that I talk to that are like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna be leaving real estate here soon," and I'm like, "All right, well, you need to read this book and you need to implement some of these things." So I'm excited to have you on. And for those of you that are joining, if you guys wouldn't mind posting in the chat what city, state, and brokerage, and how many years you've been in the industry. This is always great because I love Nick. I love knowing like who I'm talking to. They're all behind the scenes, kind of. It looks like it's just me and you talking, but there's quite a few people here, and so I'd love to see where how many years you guys have been in business, because it's always going to be interesting on that. So
Was that 21 years?
yeah,
Fresno, yeah, there you go.
yeah,
27 years.
yeah. I mean, 13 years. I know some of the questions, 30 years from Chicago. Hey, Trudy. Some of the
Got some
questions that
newbies too, so that's great.
yeah, from some of our participants that we had, they were a lot of new agents that are also, I see a couple of that are a year old, in the industry, which is nice because that gives them a base foundation. Like, okay, this is what you need
Hmm.
to start doing. So when you get to that 20, 30-year point, you're like already prepared, and you're like, all I have to do is just like find the person to buy it, and then there you go and hand it over. So Nick, tell us about your book. Tell us about this journey and how you came to write how you came to write your book, The Golden Handoff, and why did you do it, and how tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I started in 2006 in Portland, Oregon, and it was a second career for me. My first career was in the music business, and so I was very used to networking and meeting people, and that served me very well. But when I started, like a lot of people, I really busted my butt. I was working, 14-hour days, 6 or 7 days a week. I was doing, usually I was doing 2 to 4 open houses a weekend. And, I was working an incredible amount of hours to go from zero to my first 200 clients. And so I would say I worked at that pace for about 4 years to go from zero to 200. And now fast forward to 2010, we're in the middle of a recession. There's a lot of really good agents getting out of the business. And without much of a plan, I just started talking to agents that I was friends with at my brokerage and said, "Hey, I would love to help your clients." And we didn't really have a specific plan, but the first agent raised her hand and said, "Okay, let's work together on this." And so there are 3 characters in the book. So there's the new edition. If you're going to get the book, it just came out today. So I'm really excited that we're here talking today. You can get it on Amazon. If you want an easy way to find it, just go to goldenhandoff.com. There's a button right on the front that takes you right to the Amazon page. So I wrote the book because I wanted the book for myself. So I started buying businesses. We were having success with it. My first business I bought had 300 clients. So I spent 4 years killing myself to get to 200 clients. And then after a couple of conversations with one agent, I went from 200 clients to 500 clients the next day. And I have to really make sure people understand this is not buying leads. These are clients who trust their agent, who are referred to you, who are excited when you call, that work with you. You almost never compete with them, other agents, if you're working with these clients. And so I can't stress enough how amazing this was for my business. All of a sudden, I was one of the top agents in Portland, and I was still really new there. I didn't grow up there. I didn't go to the right schools. I didn't go to the right college. I didn't do any of that stuff. I was a total outsider, having moved from San Francisco to Portland. Now, the new edition, The number one, I'm going to kind of skip ahead here just because I want to share why there's a new edition. So the book comes out in 2015, and I go all over the country. And every year I speak at conferences, panels for NAR at the national level, for big brokerages, for brands like yours that work in the real estate space. And I share this story. And the number one objection I get when I was trying to buy a business was the agent would say, "This sounds like a great idea, but I'm not ready to completely retire yet." And the new edition of the book talks about partial handoffs. And that's the solution for everyone who just nodded their head and
Yeah.
said, I don't want to grow my business. I don't want to work 14 hours a day. I don't want to deal with all the new technology. I don't want to keep learning all the new forms every year, but I don't want to completely step away. And this is a way for agents who are feeling burned out, who are not on a growth phase anymore, to connect with another partner agent or with a team and continue to work on the stuff they love when they want with the clients they want, and let that other agent or team, the adopting side of it, handle everything that they're going to ignore anyway. And for everyone that said they're a newbie or a couple years and you're on your growth phase, this is a way to completely supercharge your business and to not grow 10 or 20%, but grow 100, 200, 300% this year by referral, and there's no upfront cost. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. And it's not complicated. It's all based on referral income. So,
I love
Eleni, you
that.
want me to
Yeah.
jump onto my slides and kind of,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because I did read the first edition. I did order your book today,
awesome.
because I'm like, okay, I want to see, it's always good to get a refresher. But what I love is that you just did something because it was necessary for you, and you couldn't find the solution out there. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of you right now that are sitting there shaking, nodding your head like, yes. I mean, that's a lot of how you've built your real estate business is like, I'm going to be the agent that does X, Y, and Z because, or X, or whatever it is, because nobody else is doing that here. And so, I mean, I love that. I love that entrepreneurial spirit and that dedication. So, yeah, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing. I mean, I know we've had so many questions. So if you guys have questions, feel free to like ask those as Nick is talking. And I know you've got some slides to share with us. Yeah, so I'm gonna let you take it kind of away because I think this is a really important, just a really important tool and skill set to have. You're all in sales.
Yeah.
So selling your own business and what you've built, I think, I mean, could that be any better of, kind of a way of handing things off to somebody?
Yeah, I'll say this before we jump into the slides is, all of us on this call would all agree that working by referral is the best way to work. And the only reason why people don't do it exclusively is because you have a certain goal you want to hit, you have a certain growth plan, you want to sell a certain number of houses. And, usually in the traditional sense, you're not going to get enough referrals and repeat clients every year to hit that goal. And so you do all these other things to meet people. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to just share why I think that the golden handoff process is the best, easiest, most affordable way to not only hit those goals, but to blow way by them. I mentioned it took me 4 years to get to 200 clients. The first book of business we bought was 300. So we went from 200 to 500. Well, I bought 6 more over the next couple of years, and we went from 200 clients to over 2,000. And I grew my team from 3 to 12. And I stopped buying businesses because I couldn't hire enough agents. That's how impactful this was to my business and to our growth. And so I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to go through the slide deck quicker than normal because we have an hour and I want to leave some time.
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on some points. So if you see me skip over slides, I've sent that over. You feel free to share that. There's really good resources as well at goldenhandoff.com. So please sign up there because you'll get copies of the scripts and dialogues and contracts. I'll show you those. I'm not going to read them to you. You can get your own copies today. You just sign up. It'll get a link back to download all of those. So let me switch over here. So there's the new book. It's the blue one. The old one is the black cover.
Yeah.
So we're talking about growth and retirement, and this is something that just blows my mind. So your relationships are worth a fortune. And so it just seemed totally wild to me that agents were retiring and they didn't do anything with their client lists. They just go away, right? There's no retirement parties for agents. They just kind of fade out. And all those clients end up working with different people, and some of them are good and some of them are okay. But if you're retiring, you can make sure that your clients work with an agent you know and trust and get some benefit from your 10, 20, 30 years plus in the business that you've put in to build these relationships and take care of these clients. So when we talk about what's exciting about retiring, for most people, it's having the time and freedom to do what they want. And the biggest fear is they're going to run out of money. And so this is a way to have additional income. I have a check that's being mailed to me right now from a deal I didn't even know was happening. And so I stay in touch with my team. So I sold my residential business in 2022. About 800 clients are now being taken care of by a team of 4 agents. So each agent has 200 people they're working with. Because my business was very large, there was no single agent that was able to take it on. And they do a fantastic job. Actually, I worked with that team to sell my house last year. But still, the idea of like walking away from a really lucrative income job like real estate is scary. So this is a way to have additional income when you are selling less.
Yeah. And I love that because that is a fear. I mean, who doesn't fear that? Is like, do I have enough set aside? Is it going to run out? Am I going to outlive what I have?
Yeah.
So I love that whole idea of feeling like you have this safety net, under you.
And here's a dirty secret about that. It kind of doesn't matter how much money you have. People, whether they have, 500,000 or 5 million or 10 million or more,
Right.
I know people that still work 80 hours a week that have $100 million, and they're like, oh, I want to make sure my kids are taken care of. I'm like, I think your kids are fine. Like, I think the 100 million you already have is probably plenty, but they're still working way more than me. And then they go, oh, I wish I could go play golf and do trips. And it's like, you can.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fear-based living. But I want to share this slide because when people are thinking about their businesses, when they're talking about real estate, realtors always talk about like the big number, right? They never talk about their actual net. They first start with their volume. Oh, I sold 50 million in real estate. Well, you didn't make 50 million. You sold 50 million and maybe you made $1 million, but then you have like your expenses. And if you're doing that much business, you probably have a team, an assistant, you have systems and services you need to run a business. Like Wise Agent is a good investment. You have other things that you're spending money on that you need to run a business well. And then the more money you make, the higher your taxes are. And so you get down to your net profit. Now, the thing I want to really explain here is like when you're thinking of how much money you made as an active agent, really try to drill down into your net income, because when you're a retired agent or you're a partial handoff agent, your expenses and your taxes should go way down. And so your net income is going to be potentially the same or very close to what it was, with significantly less gross income, because you're not in charge of all the expenses and running the entire business. And I'll show you that. So on goldenhandoff.com, there's a calculator I built based on the model in the book. So this is what I call a full-time, middle of the road. This is like the average home price in America, and a full-time agent. So 2 closings a month, $10,000 average commission. The traditional Golden Handoff, Eleni, that's in the first book is a 3-year deal from when the agent retires.
Right.
It's an average of a 20% referral fee that equals 144,000 net to the retiring agent. Now, again, in this kid situation, once you're fully retired, the adopting agent's paying for everything. The only thing you have to pay for is your license renewal and continuing education.
Which I mean is not that much of an investment to,
It's a
keep
couple
up with it.
$100. I don't know any state where to do those 2 things is more than a couple $100 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that much to.
Yeah. And again, if you're not involved, you don't need E&O insurance. You're not paying, you shouldn't be paying a full brokerage split. The new team is using Wise Agent. They're paying for it. Like you might have an account, but you're not responsible for the expenses. So now let's flip that. Now you're the adopting agent. The same calculator, same number. So you've adopted a business. You're closing 2 deals a month from that client list. Average commission's $10,000. Almost 600,000 of additional income. Now, what happens when you get listings and you have new buyers is you get introduced to more people. You get to do marketing, calling the neighborhood, just listed, just sold cards, open houses. From that activity, you're going to get more clients. And so when you look at this, if you get one new client from every 2 deals that close, that's an additional 12 deals a year. It's an additional 360 of income that goes directly to the adopting agent. There's no referral fees owed on that.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's just a no-brainer. The question that I get asked all the time is how do I grow my database? And I mean, if you guys don't see the like built-in growth in here, I mean, obviously you're buying the repeat and referral clients, but then that other one where it's that additional income, with that assumption of, you know, one new client from every two that you close. I mean, that additional income is not shared. So that's not going to be split between, let's say, you and I, right, Nick? Like
Yeah.
if you sell me your database and I, start getting my own, I have my clients, because they've been introducing me, your clients have been introducing me to other people. That's just all for my benefit,
Oh
not
yeah,
shared.
because look, it's fair too, because right, all of the clients I give you, that's based on the work I did,
Right.
right? But if you get a listing with them and then you go introduce yourself to everyone on the block, invite them to an open house, follow up with them, that's based on the work you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the opportunity came from the additional listing, but the follow through and the work you're doing is where the benefit comes to you. And I believe that's where where the money should go. It's I think it's fair for both people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is such a good, I mean, and what you said earlier with growing of a team, because that's one of the questions is how do I grow my team? Do I want to do this? I mean, this is even great for saying, okay, well, I want to get more team members. Well, you can, buy the business, and then if you're making good money off of those referrals, then you can say, okay, anybody new I get, I'll give you this person. You can even have that like a downstream of that.
Well, yeah, and what I'm going to talk about too with partial handoffs is like one of the best ways to grow a team right now is bringing in all these agents who want to slow down but don't want to completely get away from doing some sales and help facilitate them working on what they want when they want and just handle everything else. And what you'll find, there's a whole chapter in the new book of interviews I did with people. And one of the really consistent things that showed up in all these interviews is retiring agents who said they wanted to work for another 2 to 5 years would start working with their partner agent or their adopting team and see how well it's going and very quickly go, I know I said I wanted to work for 5 more years, but you guys are doing a great job and I'm getting all this income. Go ahead and I'm going to just let you take over because it's working so well. I don't need to be involved. I think a lot of agents too, consciously or unconsciously, are worried, gosh, I hope this new agent that I'm trusting with all my clients actually does a good job. And I hope that they like them and I hope that they do the work. The truth is if you vet the person correctly and you get a good agent, they're probably going to put in more work than you, right? Because they're still on the growth phase where they're putting in a lot of energy and you're kind of on a phase out, right? You're not on a growth phase, you're on a you're getting smaller and smaller every year and working a little bit less and less. And I see it happen all the time where this partnership can supercharge the business, not only for the adopting team, like you said, as a growth model, but even the retiring agent is like, has a reason to connect with people that maybe they haven't stayed in touch with.
Yeah.
We touched on this already, kind of exponential growth versus, Eleni, I refer you one client to buy a house down in Phoenix and you help them and send me one referral fee versus I'm in Phoenix, but I'm moving to Canada. And so here's my 300 clients, can you help them? That's really how powerful this is. And when you think of, there's nothing else you can do to get this many referrals in one shot.
Right. Right.
And Renee, she had been in business 10 years when I took over her book of business. So I went from being a 4-year agent to effectively a 14-year agent overnight in terms of the amount of people that I was working with. That's another way to look at this.
Yeah, I love that exponential growth. And I want to go back to what you were saying about like, okay, am I handing this off to the right person? Because I
Yeah.
know, like I've said, I've I've had people read your book and said, listen, you can use Wise Agent in conjunction with the Golden Handoff, and the way it works is so beautifully is, and with our price point being so affordable even after retirement, you're like, okay, an investment of $50 a month where you're
Yeah.
still making some income. You can share all those clients to your to the person that you're selling your business to, and see all the notes and see everything that's happening to say like, oh, well, Nick, I gave you all my clients, and well, there's this one person, they called me, and that's always usually kind of the one
Yeah.
objection is like, oh, well, they called me because Nick didn't call them like the very same, day
Right.
that, they called him at 10 p.m. and he didn't answer his phone. Like, what's
Right.
what's
Right.
wrong
Right.
with this guy?
Right.
Right? And then you can see the note like, okay, well, yeah, well, this is what's happening. And so you can kind of take care of things on that way. And so there's still that communication between the two agents through Wise Agent, and being able to see all the history and the and everything. So then, Nick, when you're looking at my database and seeing like, okay, well, these people all seem to be calling you at 10 p.m. I don't
Right.
know if I want to deal with all of those people, or whatever it is. You can see some of those things. You can see the insights, and that's kind of the beauty of it too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a login to be able to look at my client list. And so I can log in and see what's going on. I get reports once a month. I recommend doing monthly check-ins with your retiring agents, whether they're on your team actively or whether they're handing it off to you and saying, hey, just you're in charge, don't bug me. Because everyone's going to have different levels of how involved they want to be. And it's important to just be clear and on that so both people know what to expect. One thing I think it's important for everyone that's on their growth phase is, one, working with a good database system so you actually keep track of everyone. And but number two, when you look at like your production for the year, is like, where did my business actually come from? When you're in trying to decide where to invest your money, you want to know what's working and what's not. And I would say that the value of an agent's business goes up the higher the repeat and referral percentage is. And again, there is nothing wrong with marketing, prospecting, advertising. It's a great way to grow very rapidly, but referral-based and repeat clients typically are kind of, if you stop prospecting, your business slows down. In a referral system, you can take breathers and your clients don't all disappear immediately. If you leave them alone for 6 months or a year, they're going to start drifting away. But it's not like where if you don't call them today, someone else is calling them an hour later and you just lost the opportunity. So knowing what your clients appreciate about you is important when you're trying to partner with someone, and knowing where your business actually comes from is really important information. So just basic business practices, I would encourage people to work on that. So I mentioned before, I wrote a book because I started buying businesses and I was looking for a model for me to follow. And I was really shocked when we reached out to all of the offices in the entire country that no one knew of a book or a process or a model to follow. And they basically said, hey, if you're doing this and it's repeated, you've repeated this and it's documented and it works, then you might have the best model and you should write a book about it. If anyone's dreamed of writing a book, I would encourage you to do it. Make sure someone else hasn't already written the book. Don't write a book that's already out there. That's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
So make sure if you have an idea that it's original. And the other thing is it takes a lot of time. So,
How
it
long
took
did
me,
how long did it take for your first version?
so a couple months of writing to do the first draft. I took a week off of work and I wrote every day for a week and did most of the first draft. But then once I started working with an editor, we went through 6 rounds of editing. It was my first book ever, so I was learning how to work with an editor. And the book you've read is infinitely better than my first draft. I thought my first draft was awesome. I loved it. I thought, let's go. This is great. I'm done. And my editor said, hold on there. We need to work on this. So the whole process from start to finish was about 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's what I
Because
was
keep in
thinking.
mind, I'm
Yeah.
still running a team and growing a business and buying businesses. So like I didn't have half of my day every day to work on it. And also I did a lot of ignoring it and waiting and procrastinating. So I probably could have done it quicker, but when you write a book, part of the process is you do need some downtime to let it rest and come back to it. I think, unless you're a professional who's written a lot of books, um, going through an editing process super fast might not be as good as having a little bit of time
Yeah.
between the steps. One thing I want to mention here is I think there's this myth among agents that, oh, I'll just slow down and people will still call me and I'll refer it to some friends and I'll get some referral fees. And the truth is that doesn't work. Your number one job as an agent is to convince your clients you're not retired and you are available and you do want to help them. And so if you stop contacting people, they already know other agents and they're going to be in touch with other people. And so as soon as you're not top of mind, those clients are going to start drifting away in pretty large numbers. There has to be someone who's doing the work that you did to be successful. And that adopting agent is really the key for this working, is that the adopting agent comes in and does the work and maintains those relationships that you've built over your career.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I think there's a question in here is, so if they're not involved, so somebody wrote in here, would the system work if the agent that had passed away and then their partner, their spouse, or whoever, their family is trying to sell their database then after their death? Would that be something that would be, because then that person's no longer there to really hand anything off. They're not there to maintain those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, that's tricky. You kind of get into who's actually referring it and can they accept referral fees. You might be able to do something a little different. I think that's a pretty tough ask, unless the two agents were already partners.
Yeah.
But to come in completely cold as a third party, I think would be pretty tricky, because like a big component of this working is the endorsement of the retiring agent. And so
Yeah.
that just might be a situation where this isn't the best model.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
endorsement is not just like one email saying, hey, everyone, I know I've been your agent for, 30 years, and let me introduce you to Nick, and he's going to start making phone calls and sending you guys emails, save his contacts, peace out. Right. I'm going to
Yeah.
the beach.
Ideally, there's a little more than that. So I'm going to these are great questions, Eleni. So I'm going to kind of jump around on the slide. So we might skip
Yeah.
this slide later, but you want to basically have a letter from the retiring agent on their letterhead that goes out in the mail. You need an email from the retiring agent that goes out to all the clients. That is what I call the endorsement letter. And if you're on goldenhandoff.com, that's one of the things you'll get as like a Word doc that you can edit. It's in the book as well, but I would hate for someone to have to try to type it up again. So it's all there for you. And it basically explains, hey, I'm retiring, or I'm slowing down, or I'm going to work, 3 months of the year, and then the rest, whatever your situation is, explain your situation and then explain why you picked this agent. In addition to that, you want to now use social media, video, all the tools you have to be more, engaged and dynamic. When I started doing this, social media was relatively new. Sending out videos was difficult. You could send a link from YouTube, but it wasn't as easy as it is today. I typically, probably twice a year, will do videos with each of my adopting agents on my team that adopted my clients. We'll talk about the market. We'll talk about what's going on. We'll talk about clients they've helped, and basically talk about the market and share stories of what we're doing to help other clients, kind of give them some information that they can use to make decisions. And those videos go out to the database. So if you can get someone to commit to that, the nice thing is here we are on Zoom, right? Like you and I could be recording a quick chat, showing some graphics of what's going on in the market in Phoenix. And you go, hey, everyone, I'm up here in Michigan, but I wanted to stay in touch. Eleni and I are going to talk about the market in Phoenix and what's going on. And here's what's going on. And then we send that out to the database. And that's a way for you and I to stay connected in the minds of all of our people. One of the main questions I get is, how long do you need to co-market? And I would say that's based on how big the business is and if the retiring agent wants to stay involved. So that could be a couple weeks or it could be years. It just really depends. The nice thing about Zoom and social media and video and things like this is it's very easy to do it remote. I don't need to fly to Phoenix and schedule time to go to a recording studio to do this.
Right.
We can do it with literally our phones. We don't even need laptops. I was just in Iceland and Scotland. We could have literally done it from there, and no one's the wiser, because we're still talking together, sharing the information our clients need. This slide is just sharing kind of the additional income that we added to the business. And this is in today's numbers. The actual numbers in 2010 were much smaller because the average home price was $200,000. and now it's 650. So I've updated this to show how much extra money came in. This is not total. This is just from our databases that we had taken over. So this is on top of what we were already doing. And this became a big part of the business. I would say it became 30 to 50% of our income came from outside, what I call outside databases or adopted databases. Now, if there's one thing you do on this call today, this is what I want you to do. If you are thinking of retiring, I want you to write down the names of 5 agents who you think could adopt your business. And I want you to schedule a time to call them and say, hey, I was just on this call and I learned about this thing called the Golden Handoff. And I will be talking about partial handoff. So just hang on, we'll get into that if that's what you want to do. And I'm curious if you're still looking to grow your business and would like to talk to me about potentially working together. Now, if you are on the flip side of this call and you're one of the newbies or you're maybe 20 years, but you're still in a growth phase, I want you to write down the names of 5 agents whose businesses you would love to adopt. This could be someone who's your main competitor in your neighborhood. This could be someone who has a legacy business. If you think of people that have been top producers that are kind of slowing down and they're kind of going down the ranking and you're not seeing them advertise or market as much, those are all signs that someone is phasing out and you should reach out to them. And I'll give you the script to use when you call them so that you can start the conversation in a very respectful, productive way and avoid kind of the anxiety that comes with making a call like that. Because trust me, I taught this class to all of the managers of a major brokerage, and they all had severe anxiety of bringing up the subject of someone retiring.
Yeah.
And so I've found ways to help people broach that without having a panic attack.
I was going to say, having a script from someone that's done this is kind of nice, because then you can see like, okay, what's worked, what's not, and perfect it. It's already perfected. So then you could take that and just start, from buying or even selling your business.
Yeah, if I could go back in time and tell brand new rookie agent Nick what to do, I would say, hey, don't be afraid to use other people's scripts, because they already figured out the right way to say it, and you don't need to beat your head against the wall to be authentic. You can use a script and say it in a way that's authentic. So yeah, write down those names. So 3 to 5 agents whose businesses you'd like to take over and adopt, and 3 to 5 agents who you think could take over your business. And I'll share my story of when I sold. The traditional Golden Handoff is a 3-year plan where at the beginning the referral fee is higher. That's because your success is based on all the work the retiring agent did. As you go over time, in year 3, the success you're having is probably based on the fact that you're doing your job, staying in touch, and marketing to all these new clients. Any new referrals that come in, you pay a referral fee, whether that's 20 or 25 or 30, that's up to you. I recommend 20 to 25. The difference between this is when you get a new referral. So if I call up Eleni and say, hey, I have a friend moving to Phoenix, will you help them buy a house? You help the one client, I get a referral in the first deal they do. So if like 2 years later, they decide to sell their house because they're like, I'm moving back to Chicago, Eleni sells her house, she doesn't pay me a referral fee. Now, if it's in the database, the difference is if someone buys and sells a house in every single year, so they sell their house and then they buy a bigger house in year 1, and then in year 2 they buy a rental, and then in year 3 they help their kids buy a condo, you're paying a referral fee on all of those deals. Mm-hmm. So that's the big difference when you're looking at this, is not for the first deal, it's for any deals those clients do in the contract time frame.
In the first year, 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to skip ahead to the partial handoff real quick, and we'll come back to this. But if you are going to do a partial handoff where the retiring agent is still active in some way, and we'll talk about how that works, then I think that while you're working together, that they work under what your partnership agreement is or your team agreement for the transactions that they handle, and that you do a 25% referral on all of the deals they refer into the team to be handled. And that at some point in the future, when they say, you know what, I don't want to do any more sales, I don't want to really do the calls every year or every 6 months, you're doing a great job, I'm gonna really shut it down and let you take over completely, that starts this 3-year period. So that's my advice that I talk about in the book. I can't anticipate everyone's partnership agreement or team agreement, so that's going to be different for everyone. So While you're in the partial handoff phase, kind of your partnership or team agreement, which is going to be unique to everyone. And then when they fully hand it off and retire, go into a traditional 3-year kind of step down process, I think is fair for everyone.
Yeah. And a question that came up was, how does a brokerage split work for the retiring agent?
So every brokerage is a little different. I don't think you should be paying a full desk fee if you're only collecting referral income. If you're an agent on a team, it's going to be based on that. So some brokerages have reduced splits for agents on teams. So it's going to be based on where you're at. I mean, because there's some full service brokerages that charge more over the whole year, and there's some that charge per transaction. So those brokerage models are all different. Um, if you're going to do a partial handoff and you're at different brokerages, one of the issues you might come across is co-marketing. And so make sure that if you want to stay at separate brokerages, that you have the brokerages agree to let you co-list and work with clients together. If not, one of you might need to move. And again, that's really based on brokerage to brokerage. I've done it both ways where I've had people join my team, and I've also had people that wanted to stay where they're at, and we've had an agreement brokerage to brokerage to co-market properties. So again, different states have different rules, different brokerages have different risk tolerances. So those are some things to consider if you're in that position.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions is like, how do you navigate that? Two different brands or two different, okay, great. I
The
mean, great information.
easiest thing to do is be at the same brokerage
Mm,
to have the brokerage ideally do some kind of reduced fee if you're not full-time, or if you're also splitting your money with a team. And then when you're fully retired, to have maybe a per transaction fee, or to be on the team as a non-producing member who doesn't owe desk fees or other fees to the brokerage, because the adopting agent's going to be paying those fees into the brokerage on all the deals they're doing.
yeah.
And so I think if they charge on the referral fee, they're kind of charging twice. So there's got to be a fair threshold there. And again, every brokerage and every team is going to have to kind of decide what that is. But I don't think a retiring agent should be paying a lot to collect just referral income, because they're helping that brokerage, they're helping that partner team or that adopting team. So we talk about why not to sell outright, because this is a question like, I just want to get a check, and here's why. It's really difficult. I got this question yesterday. It's very difficult to predict how strong the relationships are with those clients in the retiring agent database. And until you start calling people and talking to them, you really don't know how much that endorsement matters. It's the same reason why celebrities get paid different amounts for endorsements. The Rock gets paid a lot more to endorse something than, some wrestler you've never heard of.
Right.
Same with sports stars. And again, an agent that does an incredibly good job staying engaged with their clients and talking to them, that endorsement will mean a lot more than if they haven't called their clients in 2 years because they've been burned out and they just haven't been able to do it. It's still worth doing, but you're going to already have seen a lot of people have moved on.
And and to just be clear, so if let's say it's my database that I'm selling to you, am I just selling the database of the people that I have that not only do I just have a relationship with them, but I've actually closed a transaction with them? Because there might be some where like I have a database of 2,000 people and I've only done, deals with 1,000 of them.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a great that's a great question. So I would say there's one of the questions I get is there a database that's too big or too small? And the answer is it depends on how much bandwidth you have. So I don't think there's a database that's too small to make this worth doing for both parties. Because typically in a smaller database, it's more friends and family. And so your endorsement means a lot more. So it might only be 50 people, but your retention rate would be incredibly high. And it's not a huge lift to talk to 50 more people a year and to send your newsletter and your emails and invite them to the classes and the events and all the things you do. Now, in the situation you mentioned, okay, 2,000 people, 1,000 of them have done something, and 1,000 of them are leads. Well, that's still worth working on, but how you treat leads and how you treat clients who refer you and work with you is very different, right? It should be. And so you want to put your personal hands-on effort and energy into the repeat and referral clients, your A people, And the leads or the clients who have kind of been there but haven't been that communicative, or maybe you helped them a long time ago and then they haven't really been engaged, you might want to do more automation with those people and then get hands-on when they need you, because you can't love everyone the same way, right? And even of the 1,000 people that have actually worked with you in your career, there's probably 100 of them that are very engaged, and then 900 of them that kind of know you, like you. If you do the right amount of connecting, they may or may not refer you. I think the saying is, what, 1 out of 3 people refers at all.
Right.
So of that 1,000, even if all of them said, "Oh my God, I had the best experience in my life, and they did everything I asked for, and they stay in touch, and I really like them," 2/3 of them aren't going to refer you anyway. So you're hoping that they work with you when they move, but that top third advocate, I call them advocates, your A clients, they're actually like trying to help you connect with new people. So the second piece in like what happens once you do a handoff is, does the adopting agent do the work, right? And it's important that you have a contract, and there's a template you get access to in the book or online. Make sure you change it to make it work, get your attorney to say yay or nay on it. But part of what you want to do is have your marketing plan be part of that contract that says exactly how many times we're calling, how many times we're emailing, are we doing events, are we doing classes, what are we doing to stay engaged with those clients. And be prepared that your marketing plan as a retiring agent and the marketing plan of the adopting agent might not be identical, but you want to make sure, if you know that your annual client event leads to a ton of business, and the adopting agent goes, "Well, I don't really do client events." Well, they might need to start doing client events for your clients.
Yeah.
Because and I have a mentor that 1/3 of their business comes from their annual event. They host a really fancy dinner with all kinds of entertainment. It's very expensive. People look forward to it. Anyone who works with them or refers them gets invited to this party. It's a big deal. And from that, all the follow-up and lead up leads to another 30% of their business for that year.
Yeah.
And so if someone's taking over that business, they need to commit to that. Now, where you might see some differences is a retiring agent might not have any social media, and the new agent might use a lot of it. Well, you don't have to do exactly the same thing, but it's important, if you know where your business comes from, to make sure that those elements. For me, talking about the market and making phone calls and having conversations has been really key. And so it was important to me that my clients all got a call twice a year from their agent. And so that was one of the key things in making a decision when I was selling my business.
Yeah. And I mean, this really just drives in the point that we try to make here on every single one of these episodes that we do, is like the relationships are what really matters. I mean,
Yeah,
that's going to take that longevity. It's going to take you quite the distance, because you're just keep building onto that, where even after you're done in retirement and you can, hand it off, because I mean, the consumer, they're still buying and selling, into their retirement age even. And so
sure.
then that makes a difference for you. So I mean, that just really drives all that, and then documenting all of that. So then you hand somebody off something nice and neat and packaged, that doesn't need to have a lot of work done to it. Because I think preparing even for um to sell and being able to have all of your notes and have everything classified and properly done, I mean, that could be a lot of like homework. If I would say, okay, I'm going to start thinking about retiring and selling my business
Yeah.
next month, now I got to go back over the years and think about everybody and how do I know them and what are the details and everything else. That could be quite a lift from me, right?
Yeah, no, it can. And I mean, the more someone has committed to using a system like Wise Agent to keep track of their people and stay engaged and make sure their information is updated and that they're in the right category or tag or they're the right source, it does a ton to help that adopting agent really wrap their arms around who you have in your client list and how they kind of are connected with each other, how they're connected to you. And ideally, you've got notes on what they want to do next so that you know who to talk to.
Yeah.
Now, whether you have a really great system or CRM you're using and your database is updated or not, I highly recommend printing out just an Excel spreadsheet of names, phone numbers, addresses, and emails. just the basics, and going over it together. It will show you who has missing information and who doesn't. And it will give the retired agent a chance to share all of the things that they know that they forgot to document.
Mm.
And I call it a database interview. It does not take that long. Even Renee and I, we met for lunch and went over the whole database of 300 people in about an hour and a half. And she could very quickly just go, oh, this person was talking about investing. These people, I looked at their house a couple years ago. I think they're ready to downsize. This person, their grandmother's going to go into assisted living. They need to go look at their house, but it's really cluttered. They didn't want me to come. You should call them. So it helped me kind of make a prioritized list of who do I need to call first. And it gave me a sense of what do I think they need help with so I can show up in the right way.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So we talk about the money, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but the direct income is all the referral fees that you're getting from clients from the retiring agent. There's other money coming in, the indirect secondary income, and I show that in the calculator. That's, when you get a listing or you have a new buyer and they refer you people, you get to do marketing, sign calls, postcards, open houses, all those things that you do to meet new clients and to market yourself and your clients' properties. Now, if you're doing a good job, you're going to talk to people in this database that go, hey, this is great. I'm so glad that Nick thought to refer Eleni to me. She's doing a fantastic job, but I don't need to move. I'm set. We found our dream home. We're going to be here for 20 years. But maybe their neighbor wants to move, or maybe someone at work wants to move. And so those referrals you get from those new clients, that all goes to you. So as long as they're not already in the database, those are new people. And that's based on the work, right, you're doing to stay in touch and build relationship. Now, if there are future referrals, that's like, hey, I was at a barbecue and someone mentioned they wanted to move. Hey, Eleni, call them up. They're not in the database, but I met someone new that wants to move. Just like any normal referral, just do a normal one-off referral fee. So there's a whole chapter in the book on the money. So I'll let people read through that. Now we talk on the website, there's the calculator, and all you need to know is how many repeating referral clients you close per year and your average commission. The other way to look at it is this. I mentioned Renee's business, 300 clients. She was really good at repeating referrals. She was about 75%. So from that list of people she had worked with, about 75% were repeated referral clients. That meant about 200 people in her database were highly engaged, kind of on her team. Right now, the average time between a move is about 10 years. Right now, this is stretching longer because of interest rates being really high and people being locked into their homes. When I started buying these businesses, Eleni, it was the opposite. It was people were underwater, rates were low, but people didn't have the equity to sell. And so we had a ton of people that wanted to list and sell, that wanted to work with us, but their properties all became rentals because they had to move for work, but they couldn't sell their house, and they had good income and they had good credit, and they didn't want to do a short sale or a foreclosure. So they just rented it out and waited. And so a lot of the clients from Renee, especially in 2010, we didn't help them until 2014, but we started that relationship in 2010. They said, hey, we want to sell, but we got to wait until our home has X amount of value so that we can sell it. So we had lists of people. When the market's up 10%, we call this list. When the market's up 20%, we can talk to these people. When it's up 30%, all of these people will be able to sell. Now, this might be for you guys now listening. When interest rates drop to X, I can talk to people. And when they drop to this, I can talk to people. For everyone that's looking to move up, this is a big deal, right? If you're looking to downsize, maybe you have enough equity, you can pay cash, or you have a very small loan. But for people moving up, you're typically getting a bigger loan, right? You take your equity, you move into your new home, but you might also get the same or bigger loan. And the problem is your cost of debt doubles right now. So it's interesting that the market has done nothing but go up with low rates for the last 10 years. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've kind of reached a difference. So the time between moves right now, this might be 12 or 13. So your number of deals might go down. If you looked at this in 2021, it was probably less, meaning that there was more people in the database moving more frequently.
Yeah. And I think, and that's interesting because then Is that a factor for the retiring agent to say, okay, well, based on this right now, instead of doing like the first 3 years, do we stretch it out to 4 years of a referral? Just because, the people that that I'm working with or that I have in my database are probably going to be moving a little bit closer to the 4 year mark than the first or third, first or third year.
I think that's totally fair. Another way to do this is instead of saying we're going to work for a certain number of years, you could say, I want $200,000 for my client list. And so you're going to pay a 25% referral fee until we've reached $200,000.
Yeah.
So one of the people I interviewed in the book, they helped broker a deal where a top agent sold to a team and they wanted $500,000 for the business. And so they agreed to do a referral fee until they hit 500,000. I believe that it happened quicker than the 3 years, which means that it might have been better to just do the 3 year deal. So I'm going to tell you over and over again, I do think that the referral thing is the fairest option for both people. So I said I would share this script for finding retired agents. The number one place you're going to find these people is through your brokerage. Those are the people that know you and trust you. The other thing is people that you've co-op deals with that are at other brokerages, but maybe you do a deal once or twice a year with them because you're both in certain neighborhoods or markets. If you want to really supercharge this, you can do outreach and just call people and add them to your, basically create a list of potential selling agents.
Yeah.
Just like you create a list of potential home sellers, it's kind of the same thing. Some people are ready right now, some people are ready in the future. With a partial handoff, you can accelerate a lot of this now, which is great. I wasn't doing that. It was kind of staring me in the face as an obvious solution, but I just didn't really occur to me until I had spent more time on this and talked to more people. But the script you want to use is, Eleni, I've was just on this call today and learned about this thing called the Golden Handoff. And I've really admired you and your business for all the years I've been working. You've done a great job. And I'm curious, what are your plans with your business when you're done selling?
Love it. Yeah.
So what are your plans with your business when you're done selling? And the answer most people are going to say is, oh gosh, I don't know. And you're going to hear this a lot. Oh my God, I've been trying to retire for years and people keep calling me and I don't know what to do. I would love to be able to slow down. I'm so burned out. And you go, I have a solution. I'd love to talk to you about it. Get a copy of the book, give it to them. I have a lot of agents that buy like boxes of the book. They hand it out as a way to start conversations, as a gift to give people. That's literally part of what I did with the book, is I would just give it to people as a way to start the conversation so that when they were thinking of retiring, they would think of me. So please, I can't adopt every client in every business in every market. So it's there for you guys to use wherever you are.
Yeah.
And if you see people that are slowing down, those are people that you should reach out to as well.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think, I just, when I read your book initially, years ago, one of my first thoughts was like, I love this. I love the whole concept of it, but I think it can also be like a recruiting tactic. It can be, okay, so maybe I'm trying to recruit people onto my team or into my brokerage. And they're like, okay, I've never, this is my first year, my first day in real estate. How do I start off and how do I do this? And then you're like, well, I'm going to give you this book. I'm going to help you find these people. I'm going to help you through this whole process. It's a great even recruiting tactic. I saw some of the questions were like, how would I even grow a team using this? Is there some way of leveraging this? I think, getting creative, you all are creative. I mean, in this industry, you kind of have to be, because deals have to be structured in different ways to work for that person, for that, buyer or seller. So think about it in that way. But I love even having the idea of just, building the relationships with the person that, is either mentoring you or has mentored you, or you're mentoring people. Partner up with those new agents that come into your office and start mentoring them to prepare for, to sell your business to them.
Yeah. And I think, we're going to see everyone I've talked to, like Eleni in your position, people that run companies that support agents, people that run actual city and state and national associations, coaching companies, we're seeing a huge amount of turnover. I think that this year and next year, we might see the most turnover we've ever seen in real estate. And so this is the biggest point of opportunity you're going to see. And we're also going to go through some kind of real estate shift, We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know if rates are going to drop enough to really bring people to the table, or if we're going to still have a low inventory market that kind of persists. I think we're going to have probably a low inventory market and maybe slightly lower rates. But again, who knows?
Yeah.
We're in an election year, which a lot of people get excited about. I don't personally think it matters because it happens every 4 years, and I haven't noticed a major change every
Mhm.
4 years other than people worrying about it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I guarantee you there are a ton of people that want to retire or who are going to retire and do nothing, and you can help them get some benefit and grow your business dramatically. But even more than that, there are people that are wanting to slow down or who are slowing down and phasing out, and they're not doing it consciously. They're just losing clients, and they're kind of like, I don't have the energy. I'll just keep working with like my top 100. And there are other 900 people that they know that they've spent all this time and energy and money building relationships with and taking care of. They're going to just go find other agents, and you can help them, save most of that if you engage with them. And I guarantee you, these agents who want to retire and who are phasing out, they're looking for a solution, and they're not like you, right? They're not going to calls like this as much. They're not going into the office as much. They're not learning as much because they're not on the growth phase.
Yeah.
And so there's still a lot of people that aren't even aware of this book 10 years on. My goal was to change how people retire in real estate forever. And it's been great because the thought leaders in the industry, NAR, all of the owners and managers of every major brokerage and every coaching company are aware of this and are utilizing it. But the day-to-day agents out there, there's still a ton of people that haven't heard of this. And so I appreciate you having me on to introduce it to new people.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to have a new addition to really reinvigorate it. And I know it will help more people because you don't have to wait until the retirement date. Now you can start working and building your team with all these great agents with tons of experience and all these relationships that they want to slow down, but they don't want to get out. You have now a solution that you can use with this new edition. And it literally came out today. So I'm so excited that we're here talking about
I
it.
know.
So
I was excited too when the dates all lined up. I'm like, well, this is perfect because a lot of, when I read your book years ago, I was like, okay, well, we need to make sure that we, kind of keep up with what the book is saying to do. I mean, being able to just hand somebody off and with a click of a button, just easily, like obviously you've got to do all of your due diligence and your contract with, the person that's acquiring your business, or, when you're selling your business or when you're buying the business. But then after all of that is done, right, that then, where that part of like, okay, now how do I physically get the database, where we've made that so easy. We were like, all right, you're just going to select all these people and you're going to say, share them to this person, and it
yeah,
gets shared over to that account. And you don't have to import or export or do any of that stuff, but, and it's just so easily done. And then you can still manage and kind of have oversight. I wouldn't say manage, but like have that oversight and to be able to like kind of see within like, okay, well, what's happening? Is Nick keeping up with, I just heard, I just saw Susie down the street at, getting coffee, and she was saying that she's, looking to put her house on the market. Like, okay, I got to text, I got to mention Nick in this note so then he can get become aware of Susie's looking. And I told her Nick's name, but I want Nick to be proactive. I don't have to text you. I can just do like a real quick note and you can read all of my notes right there and then.
that's
So we've
awesome. Yeah.
we've
And you
kept
could,
up with all of that with this in mind, because I think this is, what was your statistic? 99% of agents don't sell their business after retirement.
it's crazy. Yeah. It's just because, again, a lot of people, if you ask them, again, I would challenge everyone on this call today. If you're in a growth phase, write down the names of those 5 agents whose businesses you really admire, call them up, let them know I was on this amazing call today and I wanted to call you because I've always admired your business and I'm curious, what are your plans when you're done selling? That's the script. It's very easy.
Yeah.
I bet 9 out of 10 of them are going to say, I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to, it sounds like a lot of work. I don't know what to do. Or they're like, oh, if someone calls me, I'm going to refer it to my buddy at the office. He's still plugging away. But don't do that. That's a big mistake because you have so much more you have so much more potential than just hoping people call you because they're not going to call you.
Right. Right.
I wanted to make sure we had time to talk about partial handoffs, and then
Yeah.
Eleni, let me know how we're doing on time. I know we have a lot of questions, and hopefully
Yeah,
I've
we
answered a
do.
lot of them, but I wanted to make sure we had time. So um, there's an entire new the new edition has all the same good stuff from the first book, plus an entire new section of interviews and information about partial handoffs. And this is why this is so important. You are either growing your business or you are phasing out. There is no balancing act. It is a myth. So if you are not actively growing your business, your team, adding clients, trying to sell more property, you're probably on a phase out, whether you know it or not. And the people around you are doing the same thing. And this is very normal. This is how it's always been in real estate. But now there's a way to connect with them before they fully retire and lose touch with all of their clients. And the sooner you make the decision to partner with someone when you are on a phase out, the better, because the business is going to be worth the most when you are the most engaged. Right? If you're a publicly traded company, you don't try to sell your business when it's struggling. You want to sell it when it's doing well and people will be willing to pay you more. So a phase out is transitioning over time to an adopting agent. Maybe they join your team and take over, or maybe you join theirs, or you're just two solo agents that partner and kind of co-market and work together. And you keep doing the stuff you love with the people you want to work with and the time you want to work, and the adopting team handles all the marketing, all the strategy, all the expenses, and then handles everything else that you're not going to take care of. An honorary team member is for someone that loves talking to people and staying engaged. This is kind of a lot of what I do. I like to talk to clients. I like to do consultations. I like to ask questions, help, find solutions and understand their challenges. But once they're ready to list or once they're ready to go look at property, I'm handing them off to someone on the team. Yeah. A train out is if anyone on this call has a really specific niche. So you work in luxury property, condos, view properties, lakefront properties, luxury properties, 55 and older communities, mobile homes, floating homes, any of those different really specific niches where you have historic property, you have specific knowledge about any of those niches that is highly specialized. A train out is probably the right thing for you, where you either bring someone on to work with you and learn not only buying and selling real estate, but your specific niche and all of the specialty knowledge you have in order to help someone take over with that specialty that your clients expect from you. Or potentially you join another team and you partner with one of the team members and help them learn that specialty. And over time, you hand over more and more of that. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people are going to think, okay, I'm going to call some older agents who've been in the business forever, or I'm going to call solo agents. Don't be afraid to call a team lead, because what you'll find often is that, this was the situation I found myself in. I had a great team, but no one on the team wanted to take responsibility for running the team. They all loved that I did that. They loved that I paid for everything and I was in charge and I was the one that was doing the training and interviewing and hiring and firing and all of that. And no one else wanted to do that. They wanted to keep focusing on selling. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what that means is there are really good teams with great agents, and they are looking for someone outside to come in and take over leadership, because the team lead or the owner wants to phase out, but they don't have anyone internally that is willing to take on that leadership role. Everyone wants to stay in their sales roles or their support roles. And so I think that honestly probably happens more than people think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So these are a couple of the ways you can do a partial handoff. Again, you can take these main ways and find unique ways to partner together. But the important thing here is you're either growing or you're shrinking, and to do it intentionally. If you want to slow down and you want more time and you don't want to work as much, that's okay. But don't think that your clients are going to stick around and have the same relationship with you if you're not staying engaged. And so to be honest with yourself about that and partner with someone that's excited about that opportunity, that they want to show houses Saturday and Sunday all day, they want to take the 10 p.m. phone calls that you don't want to take.
Right.
There's plenty of agents that are excited about that opportunity for growth. Work with someone like that that's excited about doing the things that you're kind of burned out on doing, because you're going to eventually get burned out on doing that stuff if you do it long enough.
Yeah. I mean, and this is really, just kind of leaving your legacy and setting up your legacy
Yeah.
for that next person. So, I mean, I love that whole, concept. It's a stream of revenue for you. And that partial one that you were talking about,
Yeah.
could that be like where I'm still like, um, if I'm in Chicago, I lived in Chicago for all these years. I've grown my brokerage there, I've grown my team there, whatever my database there. And now I'm leaving, I'm moving from Chicago. I've got a database of 500 people, 500 clients. I'm going to leave there. I'm going to stay licensed, but I'm not going back there. I'm not going to be doing any showings.
Right.
I'm moving to Arizona
Yeah.
and I'm going to start up my team here and my stuff here. Is that selling from over there? And just, I mean, you don't have to necessarily retire. It could be
Oh,
you're
no, no,
moving
no,
from
no.
one
It could,
state to another state and keep and sell that database, and kind of
yeah,
make
there are
some money.
probably, I would say probably the number one reason people are going to be potential sellers is they're changing careers.
Mhm.
So maybe they're staying where they are, but they're changing careers. The second thing is they're moving, just
Yeah.
like you described. Someone's going from Chicago to Arizona,
Yeah.
and maybe they're an honorary team member and they like fly up for some events and they do some videos and they still do some calls. Or maybe they're like, I'm so busy trying to build my team and business in Arizona that I want someone that's going to just handle this, and you do more of a traditional handoff.
Right.
Um, Probably the smallest one is people that are actually truly retiring.
Yeah.
So again, don't just look to the oldest, most experienced agents in your market or your brokerage. They're worth talking to too. Don't ignore them. They're definitely worth talking to, but you might have fantastic opportunities with people that are not haven't been in the business that long and aren't actually retiring. One of the most productive deals we did was with someone who's in the book, David, who worked on a movie project for about a year and a half. He wasn't retiring. He was definitely going to come back at some point. We didn't know if it was going to be 1 year or 2 years, but it wasn't going to be forever. And the great thing about his is his business was running full speed when we took over. So he was in fifth gear going, 100 miles an hour. We jumped in and kept it going. And then when he came back, we handed it right back. But for the year and a half we managed it, it was incredibly productive. We sent him in 2012 dollars, $50,000 in referral fees. So today that would be $150,000 in referral income that he made in a little over a year.
Mhm.
And so there, yes, that's a perfect example of a great opportunity to partner with someone.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different things. And I know, just from my own experience reading your book, the first edition of it, there's so many ideas. I really encourage you guys to read this book, even if you're not thinking about buying or selling or, your database today or even tomorrow. It's something that really, when you set it up, especially for the ones that are on this and listening to this that are maybe setting themselves up right now with the CRM, this is the time to do everything. Get your sources in there, get your categories, get your notes, get everything. That's why we preach all of this stuff. It's done with an intention
Yeah,
for you later on. For you never know what life, throws at you
sure.
sometimes. And so I know there was a question earlier was, should I sit down with the referring agent and, doing these buyer agreements? It's like, absolutely, that's totally an option. But I think with all of these new things that are being passed down through NAR, all these new regulations, this is an opportunity for a lot of people right
Sure.
now.
And also like during COVID, there was a lot of agents that didn't want to work remote. We tried to adopt to that. We did virtual tours. We did a lot of video recording. We sold a lot of homes to people that weren't in town. We worked with a lot of sellers that weren't in town. We just got a key and we did everything remote. We would do Zoom calls and video, and we would help facilitate everything. And there were a lot of agents that hated that. They didn't want to do that. They really loved the personal time spent together. And I preferred it, but I wasn't going to not keep working. But just like that, right now, with all the changes that are happening, there's a lot of agents that are already kind of burned out and they go, you know what, I don't want to have to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the thing. If if the market is going to do half the production it did in years past, you can either work twice as hard or you can quit, or you could adopt a business and double your client list and you can keep your production the same.
Right. Yeah.
So, we've gone from people moving every 5 years to probably 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. But if you bought a couple databases and you go from 300 clients to 900,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if people are moving every 15 years. You're talking to 3 times as many people. You should end up in the same production you were targeting with, a smaller list of clients moving more frequently.
Yeah.
So, Eleni, I promised you I'd save time for some Q&A. So I skipped a couple things. There's no secret hidden chapter. Everything's in the book. So this is the new version. I wanted to just make sure people see it because it's a different cover. The website will link directly to it. There's the calculator there. If you sign up on the website, you'll get access to the contract scripts, all the stuff that we talked about, and some stuff we skipped over. You'll get access to all of that. So I encourage everyone to do that, to get access to it. And I'm going to be doing some more training programs that are more intensive and some masterminding. So if you're on my list, you'll get invited to that. So Eleni, let's get to some questions, and
Yeah.
want to make sure we try to help as many people as we can today.
Yeah, there's quite a few in here. And I know we're going a little bit over. So any of you guys that are sticking along with us, we're glad that you guys are sticking along, or else you'll get this recording. But so Randy's asking, how do I compete with another adopting agent or agents who have more impressive track records? So how's that? Maybe Randy's a newbie agent. And there's multiple people kind of vying for this one database.
Yeah, I would say talk to the retiring agent and ask them what's most important about who they choose to work with, just like when you're competing for a listing. The nice thing about when you're smaller and newer is you have more time. When you're more seasoned and you've got a bigger business, you're more efficient, you're more experienced, but you don't have as much time to give to each and every client. Probably you built a team. A lot of retiring agents are nervous about selling to a team because they're like, well, who's actually going to call my clients? You might be able to solve that problem if you are able and willing to put in the work to call that many more people. So that's the thing is looking at the size of the opportunity and making sure that you're actually ready for it. It might require that you hire an assistant. It might require that you spend more money on marketing. It might require that you hire people to help on a team. And so I would start with asking, what are their concerns and what are they hoping to happen? You might find out that they're nervous about selling to a team and they're willing to take a chance on a newer agent that's willing to put in the work directly.
Yeah, amazing. And I know you said that you're going to be doing some masterminds and some of
Yeah.
that. Is that all information they can find on your website?
Yeah, we'll be updating the website as those things come live. I've been focused this year I've been focused on writing the new book and then the last couple of months promoting it. So it just came out today. So for the next couple of weeks or month, I'm going to focus on making sure people are aware of the new edition, and that we have a successful launch. It's already doing really well. It just debuted #1 in a couple categories. So thank you everyone who's bought it. And thank you everyone here who takes a chance on putting some of your money into buying the book. I know you'll get a lot of value out of it. So we'll be launching that probably in about a month. So I'm trying to focus. I love doing too much at once. So I'm trying to force myself that I only get to promote the book right now, and all the fun new stuff I want to do with it, I have to wait until I've actually done my job
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And then someone's asking, is this something that can also be done for property management side of real estate business? So maybe I have a property management business. Is this something that I can sell, not just residential
yeah,
database?
yeah, I would say absolutely. You might want to look at a more traditional business sale that's based on a multiple of your revenue, because property management has monthly income. So the big difference between like property management and a dentist and insurance is that they have renewals every year, or they have a couple renewals per year. And so you have much more predictable income, where real estate, you might have a great book of business, you help everyone buy a house, and all the people you know are set, and they're not going to buy a house for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so that's the big difference. And that's why for real estate sales, I think a referral fee model that the Golden Handoff is based on is the best way to do it. There are other businesses. So I would look at a model of a referral based model, and then I would talk to a business broker about how they would value your business, because you might have a more traditional sale that would be a better fit.
Great, wonderful. And I think one last question here is, is the slide deck also available to them on your website?
It's not on the website, but I sent it to you, so feel free
Okay,
to share it, Eleni.
we can
If
share
there's
that.
anyone
Okay.
that's been on the call today, I'm happy, or the recording, so
Yeah.
it's yours to do what you want with. So
Okay.
my goal is to get as many people on board with this and aware of it. So I'm very
Okay.
happy to share all this and the resources, and the website will be updated as we add more resources. I'll update those resources. Um, and we'll be updating the workbook and adding the new section to the Audible as well. The
Okay.
Audible doesn't have the partial handoff information, so we'll be adding that as well. So that's all stuff that's on the to-do list, but the
Yeah.
new book has everything you need, and the website will stay updated with new goodies and offerings and resources as we add them.
I know. I did. I ordered a physical copy because I'm one of those people. I like the physical copy. And then are you just my own personal kind of curiosity, are you going to be at any events the remainder of this year? I know we've got a event season is happening and lots of different state associations happening right now. Are you going to be at any of
Right
those?
now, yeah, no, that's a great question. Right now, I'm just doing virtual, so I don't have
Okay.
any in-persons lined up. I did get asked yesterday to go, I think, to Boston, but I need to confirm
Okay.
what their schedule is and timing. Um, that may be a virtual just based on the timing of it. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, as I do stuff, I'll announce it on social media. That goes out to my email list, and we try to update the website and events as well, so people know what's going on. And but yeah, no, I don't have anything specific to share and where I'll
Okay.
be. So
Okay.
thanks for asking, though.
I'll be in Boston. So if you're there, let's make sure that we connect,
Okay.
most definitely. And so yeah, I know a lot of you guys are hopefully buying this book today. I know that'll mean a lot to Nick. If you have any questions even on the book, absolutely feel free to reach out to Nick. His email address and all his contact information is on here. But then if you're like, how do I use Wise Agent with the Golden Handoff? Contact our support team. I'm the book is on its way to our office, and I'm getting a couple extra copies for my team here too to help you guys, and I'll be one of their main resources as well as, and obviously I've got Nick's number. So if you're wondering like, how do I implement this within my Wise Agent account, and how do I get my database sold off, and how do I get all that contact information over to my to the purchaser of my database, we can help you through that process as well. So Nick, thank you so much for joining and being on here today. Best of luck on everything with the new edition. I'm so excited for you and excited for everyone else out there to be able to bridge that gap from 99% of those that retired without selling their business to really bring that number way down. So
I love
hopefully
it. Thanks so
we'll do
much,
that.
Eleni. I really appreciate you having me here and getting to talk to your people. And thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you guys on September 17th. My friend Marky Lemons-Briles, she and I are going to be talking about becoming a solution, demonstrating your worth as a real estate professional. So we'll be a month into the new NAR regulations. So we're going to be talking, how are we doing? How are we doing this first month? How'd we do? So stay tuned for that one. I'll see you guys soon. All right. Thanks, Nick.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.